So when I refer to 7 levels, I'm not referring to any precise level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. I'm referring to the stages that you're going through life. I'm referring to your experiences. I'm referring to the company that you keep. I'm referring to the knowledge that you acquire. I'm referring to the travel, geographical and otherwise, the cultural connection, the more cultures that you meet, right? And ultimately we come down to, I'm referring to the inward journey. You see, if you read a book when you were 50, reading the same book again when you are 25, the exact same passage will have a totally different impact because you got 10 years of experience now. And then you read it at 35, you're going to look back at that passage and say, I never understood that part of it before. It's again a different, evolution in thought. So it is linked also to your growth, to the experience that you have acquired. So your experiential, learning or processes that are, acquired in life's journey make that difference to that 7 levels of understanding. Now, the second thing that you acquire is, apart from just growing up, is basically, hitting the low spots in your life, for example. Being ravaged, being, by economy or losing your job, bankruptcy, all of these issues. When you go through those kind of things, you get a totally different perspective of life. And you hit rock bottom. Again, everything has a different meaning at that juncture. You get my point? 3 is knowledge acquired. Intellectual ability is part of the process. All right, going to university, going on to study more, discuss more. So the knowledge, the physical knowledge acquired, gives you every different level. Because every level is you being able to see deeper, but the mirror is coming from inside you. You see, just because you saw the movie Godfather is very emotive, very powerful, very, But when you see it when you're 15, you don't have life's experiences to back you up, to relate to, the strength of that movie. But when you see it when you are 20 years later, it changes the impact of the movie. Are you with me? And there are totally different things of that nature that give you this 7 levels of understanding. I think factor to be taken into account is your company. You are always defined by the company that you see, that you keep. So when you are in challenging company per se, other people's, their own perspective of the same problem, now you have a different perspective. See, a problem has many facets to it. A solution has many facets to it. Just like that, a story has many facets to it. One comes from your own mind, and that's where you can define it by age, you can define it by, your experiences, right, and the knowledge that you have. The next is actually having others interpret it for you. You see, as you travel the globe, culture becomes another kind of a win-win, all right? It changes your direction, so to speak, as you travel. It's your compass. And every culture is dramatically different from each other. Are you with me? You see, so it's like the cultural shock helps you understand another level. Are you with me? You see, you must be driven by a sense of urgency. So those of us, as we age and get older somehow, and there's more or less a certainty that approaches, that's the time we suddenly, have a greater sense of urgency on life. Who wastes the most amount of time? Youth, your kids, because they think they have the most amount of time to waste. Sheer arrogance, because there is absolutely no guarantee on who will go first. But nevertheless, they are the ones who waste the most time, just as we did. We wasted most of our time in our youth. Now we are compressing the time. We are maximizing, doing everything we can possibly do because time flies. As we get older, so does our perspective. So sense of urgency is the next thing that changes your perspective. Ultimately, again, the thing that brings you to the more finite or infinite level of understanding is how much you are able to center yourself, which is in a sense meditation, for example, practicing yoga. Because the one thing that yoga does, people don't realize, it pulls you into the now. It drags you into the now. You see, you could go into the gym and work out for an hour and let your mind roam all over the place because it's all automated. You climb up onto the the treadmill, and your mind is out there floating on all your other issues, this, that, and the other. So it's a physical experience, and physically you're getting fit, but mentally it does what? Right? Same thing with running up and down trails all over the place. Right? It becomes automatic. So the fact of what yoga, in one single rub, you're hardly going to move from it, but the amount of sweat that you can go through in that is equivalent to running 6 kilometers. You will be soaked all the way through. Properly done. But what it does also, you are pulled into the moment. You're pulled into the moment. And when you're pulled into the moment, your perspective changes. The simplest way to understand 7 levels, first of all, is to understand that there are 7 stages of man. So basically you go from childhood to young man, they say brahmacharya, which means before marriage. Then you get into marriage. Then you become a parent, right? Then you move on to becoming a grandparent, which is a whole different aspect. Then you move into towards your last stage of life, which is where you are, they call that the inward journey, so to speak. And the final is just when you are leaving. So this too reflects upon every level of your understanding. Are you with me? People actually think that when we're referring to, when I refer to the 7 levels of understanding, it's about some level of intellectual ability that one has to acquire or something of that nature. It's actually perspective.